good to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. I was just, completing. I was in the middle of your introduction, so I was telling how you come with a mindset to help, a mindset of value creation, and helping others achieve more. And it's like if you have a problem, you can like Gaurav can put you on the path to solving it without being complex, tedious, and time consuming. He just sees the gaps and helps plug them. Sales has always been his passion, and he's been selling since he was 6 and is trained by his mentor and the world's best sales coach, Grant Cardone.
Absolutely.
Gaurav was a student of the Lawrence School Sanawar and lives life with dual philosophy of never give in and do whatever it takes to make things happen. He lives in Noida with his lovely wife, Mrinalini, and 2 children, Nirvan and Naina. Disciplined, dependable, and determined. Please welcome Gaurav Bhagat.
Thank you. Good to
Yay!
be here. Appreciate, man. How things been with you?
Things are pretty phenomenal here. This COVID situation, luckily, with the lockdown, unlocking down now, getting back in business with respect to my family business. And what really kind of picked up was also my digital media business and consulting during the
Okay.
lockdown. So made the most out of that as well.
Yeah, I've been following some of your work, and you've been doing some good stuff. Of course, you were at the Business Growth Meet as well, so
Yes.
I saw you speak there. That was nice. So it was good to,
Wow.
you know, see your session there, and good stuff. I mean, like I said, this is what the world needs right now. People who are basically, just sending out positive vibes and doing good for others. I think that's what the world needs right now.
Exactly. And, this is like my 2 cents of it, whatever I've learned in my personal development and growth
Yeah,
journey. So, to share with the millennials today, because I'm of the opinion that there's so much opportunity today in today's time.
yeah,
And at the same time, there is so much confusion. Like there's an
agreed,
overload of gyan, so to say, across all the media
agreed,
platforms. So it's
agreed, agreed.
So it's
Yeah,
very important to actually, kind of have a laser sharp focus on what exactly to consume and then kind of execute it.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
And, looking at your work and obviously your mentor being the sole licensee of Grant Cardone in India, I think it is absolutely a pleasure having this conversation with you today. I'm so excited.
Pleasure. Like I said, happy to be here, and yeah, of course, the entire association with Grant has been amazing, and the journey started perhaps 3 years ago when I first used Cardone Enterprises to help my company, which is another company that I also run, and of course, the results were phenomenal, and then I just knew that this is what India requires, and that's where the conversations started, and it's been good. It's been good, so I can't complain, and happy with how things are playing out in India at the moment.
That's amazing. So, what is it exactly that you do? Could you tell more about it, please?
Sure. So, like you mentioned in my introduction, when I say I'm a problem solver that gets things done, so that is, who I've always been at heart. And of course, you take in the entrepreneurship aspect, and you take in, the sales aspect. So, primarily, what I'd say is that I help, individuals and companies get sales which are quick, sales which are at their price, and sales which are in the quantum that they want. So I basically help companies get the requisite sales, especially in environments such as this where things are actually so tight, right? And take into account entrepreneurship and leadership. There's that as well. But at core, at heart, always been a sales guy. Ever since I can remember, like you mentioned, since I was 6 years old, always been doing sales, and of course, just refined, fine tuned, and now it's just become a super machine. So yeah, that's what I
So
would say.
it is so amazing, like one of the books that I was reading, it said if you really want to find out what you're really good at or what is it that you're destined to do, you go ask your parents, okay, mom, what did I enjoy doing when I was between 3 to 7 years old?
Hmm. Hmm.
So given that you had already started it when you were 6,
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
yeah. Like I said, it was for me. It was about I think it was about making money. When I was a kid, so I would do stuff like just run various things, and then even at the age of 16, I was doing board games and large scale board games, which I was creating stuff on the stock market, and I was investing in the stock market and doing all that kind of stuff. So I think at core, it's always been the aspect to create wealth, and it's been a gradual process. So can't complain.
Brilliant. So, what are the most exciting advances in your industry right now? And when I'm saying industry, it could be the sales industry, because sales, so to say, today if I look at key marketing and sales, so there's so much out there. Like every brand is trying to get our attention, and we
Right.
are, and with also the attention span
Yeah.
kind of reducing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what is it that you have,
So
to
I
deal with
think
it today?
you hit the nail on the head where you said it's extremely noisy right now, right? Everyone
Yeah.
is clamoring for the attention of, well, I wouldn't say a few because the appetite has right now grown immensely to learn online and all of that. But also, it's a very crowded space, and it's also become a space where there's a big trust deficit today, right? And people are promising the world, and they're not being able to deliver in terms of what they promise. So there's also a very big trust deficit. So people during the lockdown, of course, had this massive appetite for learning and all of that. And then later on, they realized that people had committed a lot, but they hadn't really gone ahead and delivered. So that said, I think there's a big trust deficit. And with sales, people will always buy from people they trust. People will buy from people they know. People will buy from people they like. Right? That's pretty much the basis, of how all
Mm.
sales happen. So I think what is now happening is that you're seeing a little bit of churn, where the people who just came on, they said, oh, everything is locked down, so we should just be online, we should be training and all of that. Everyone and their uncles became a trainer, right? I mean, that's the funny aspect. And when I talk to friends who've been doing this for a long time, so friends like Avi Arya, who's been doing this like for I don't know forever, right? And Avi and I were in college together, and we were just discussing. We were like, okay, it's amazing how everyone's now come to the party, and Avi's probably been doing stuff on micro video mastery and digital marketing, etc. for years, right? For years, like maybe 10 or 12 years now. So I think it's interesting how now more and more people are now figuring out that okay, this is great. I think some of the advances that have happened have of course been a big desire for collaboration. Like you called me on, so next week I have Avi on my forum. I'd love to have you, speak to my community as well at some
Oh.
point. So I think there's a lot of collaboration that's happening. So I think it's not about competition; it's about collaboration. I think there's a
Hmm.
flight to quality where people are saying, okay, you know what, who is delivering, quality content? Who has quality, delivery? Who has the right intention, right? Who has,
Hmm.
like another friend and trainer, a friend of mine would say that, coaches have to be, D, C, and I. Okay, the D is depth. Now, if you have depth in what you've done, okay, if you have depth in what you've done, if you have a lot of experience in what you've done, that's great, right? If you
Hmm.
have a C, which is certification, right, also really good. But I think when you have D and C, and then you put in the I, which is the intention or the integrity aspect, I think then you're basically in the hands of a great coach. So I think people have realized that. And coming back to your question in terms of what are some of the things that are happening in the industry and in the space, a lot of consolidation, a lot of collaboration, a lot of flight to quality, and also
Hmm.
there is an element of technology that's coming in which is slightly beyond the normal. Like anyone could do a Zoom call, right? Anyone could do a Zoom call. Anyone could jump onto
Hmm.
IGTV. But now you're seeing a lot of tech coming in where you've got softwares like VR softwares and so a lot of virtual reality pieces coming in where they create the entire room that you could actually be in a physical room. So I see a lot of that coming in. I see an element of augmented reality coming in. So these are some of the trends that global coaches that I'm speaking with are actually speaking of. So while
Hmm.
you may be logging on to a normal Zoom call using OBS technology, etc., you basically got the VR piece happening. So I think it's interesting. We may be a little behind the curve in India, but I think we'll get
Hmm.
there as well. So that's something that you have in terms of newer technologies, so to speak.
Exactly. I saw, like, I think this weekend there was this massive Tony Robbins Unleash the Power webinar.
Yeah,
I saw in
yeah,
a couple of my friends' stories because they were attending.
yeah.
And the whole concept that Tony is literally coming to our living room,
Very
and
true.
the energy there was
Very true.
massive. It was
Yeah, I've actually attended UPW Live in Singapore in
wow.
2018. So Feb 2018, and of course, nothing like it. I mean, Tony Robbins
Hmm.
has got to be the most energetic guy I've ever seen. And don't get me wrong, Grant is great, but Tony
Hmm.
is like just another level, right? And the fact that the way he speaks, engages, gets the music, gets everyone going, and the
Hmm.
entire audience, it's actually on fire. It's almost like it's a cult thing. I mean, of course, it can't be the same online, but hey, what do you do,
Hmm.
right? The show must go on, so that's important.
Yes, and I think he was scheduled to come again this year to Singapore. I think,
India, so India,
or
so India was on the
was it
cards
India?
for yeah. So Hyderabad, I think, was on the cards for October, November. Of course, that's not happened.
Hmm.
But that's it. Next year, hopefully. Grant Cardone was supposed to be in India this time. So we had October, November planned out for Grant Cardone India. It would have been epic. We were going to have 10,000 people across 3 venues. And to bring Uncle G to India, it was a dream. And we had everything lined up. Like when I was in Vegas in February with him for GrowthCon, he's like, yeah, man, India's happening. And we discussed the dates. And he's like, don't call me during the rains because I don't want to come for the monsoon and everything. But, right after, everything was all set. So it's unfortunate that, it didn't happen this time around. But hopefully 2021 will be different. We'll have all these great guys come to India because I think, the Indian, population really needs access to these guys live because it's just next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is something that, it's an experience, and it's got to do something with people who are, like I personally, I'll talk about myself. Someone who it's more like a video game where you want to go to the next level, keep climbing on to the next level. And this is something that I look at it, the game of personal and self-development and growth as. So what is it that you enjoy about your work?
So I think one of the biggest things is just delivering results, right? When someone, signs on, they're kind of, skeptical. I mean, of course, they signed on because, they're kind of convinced, but they're not really sure where this journey is going to go. And then, with a few weeks of working with people, be it like on the 10X online course or Scaling with GB, the 2 courses that I run, the results that people have been getting, even in the lockdown times, right? So my first online course, I mean, even though I've been training for about 2 years now in offline at the Gaurav Academy in Noida, but what's happened in the online space is even the worst of months, people signed on in April, and the results that they got in June, July, August, September, I mean, crazy. So, when those testimonials start coming and when those, videos start coming or those, comments start coming, on your WhatsApp groups and everyone else said, hey, my target for the year has been smashed in the 2 hardest months, so to speak, right? People said July, August, mar gaye, khatam ho gaya, kuch nahi bacha, right? And then you've got people who come in saying, I had my best July, ever. Or I had my best month of 2021, 2020 ever. So that's just fantastic. I think just being able to make a difference in the lives, like everyone says you must have a why, right? So my why is to help 100,000 business owners create or add 100 jobs in their organizations. So that's on the business owner side, and also have 9 lakh working professionals live what I call the 10X life. So to do this in the next 7 years by the 15th of May 2025. So that's actually my why. And as I see people saying, okay, we're scaling, we're growing, we're getting more people on, I think that is what's fantastic and what really drives me.
Yeah, it's kind of getting you closer to the vision. And I love how you have a date, 15th of May, 2025. Like you have a specific date. That is brilliant. So what are some of the, best experiences that you've had with your clients that you're talking about?
So they've just been so many, but I think some of the notable ones that, come to mind are, let's say in recent weeks, right? So there was someone who invested $100 in our program. So, the 10X sales online program that I run is a $100 program. And then I get a message from someone and this guy's like, thanks to what you taught there, I actually made 100,000, US, a single sale of 100,000 US, 75 lakh rupees, a single sale this guy made on a $100 investment. And he said, I am just getting started. Right. And then he wrote back like a few weeks later. He said, you know what? If the last one was 100,000 US, now it's like 200,000 US. So it's amazing what people are able to do. There are a lot of, we work with a lot of corporates. A lot of corporates send in a lot of their people. So we had an organization that sent in 26 people, for a particular program. And again, these are people, who were struggling, making all the excuses in the world and everything else. And now 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, their managers are calling in and saying, I don't know what you did to these guys, but he said, they're on fire. We're on course to have, our best month ever. So it's great to see when things like those happen. I've had other people, who've doubted themselves, full of doubt and questioning everything. And today, 2 months later, 3 months later, are going back and absolutely crushing it. So, they've been some, really, really big wins that have come in. And hence, now we have a lot of big mandates from companies like HDFC Securities, HDFC Life, Max Life. I did this one webinar for the insurance space where there were 17,000, people who viewed. So let's say, I think there were 4,500 were on, but there were 17,000 views that happened over the course of those 2 days. And people from the insurance community reached out and said that, hey, you know what, you unlocked, so many blocks that were there for us. And what you taught us is something that no one teaches, even though these people had been in the insurance business for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So it's nice. It's nice when you actually hear those things and, people come back with those kind of results. I think that's really cool.
So the results is what inspires you, and getting these kind of results in the middle of a pandemic, a global pandemic, is truly phenomenal. So, could you give like a gist or like a glimpse of, you know, some strategy that can be
Yeah.
used during the pandemic?
Absolutely. So, the thing is, right now, it's all boiling down to relationships. Okay. So, you really have to focus on relationships. Like, I tell people the difference between a contact and a contract. So, you look at contact, you look
Hmm.
at contract. Okay. Look at these two words in isolation. And the difference between the contact and the contract is the letter R, and that R is relationships. Right. So, this is a
Hmm.
time that you really need to focus on your relationships and relationships with everyone. Right. So, not only, your customers, but, also
Hmm.
your clients, your bankers, and amongst your customers, even your sold customers, so customers that were buying from you before, unsold customers, customers who never bought from you before, right? But perhaps now
Hmm.
is a great time to reach out to them because, hey, who knows? Maybe your competitor who was servicing them earlier went out of business. But because you're there, you need to reach out to them. Also, orphan clients. I think orphan clients is something that a lot of people overlook. Now, an orphan client is simply, someone who is being, so let's say you have an organization. In that organization, you had a manager who was servicing this account. But for whatever reason, let's say that manager had to leave. Now there is no one who's really servicing that account or looking after that account. So that client actually feels orphaned, right? They don't have anyone who's looking after them right now. So if you
Hmm.
just go out and make a list of clients who were once being serviced by someone but are now not being serviced by anyone. Okay, I had an organization that actually went back and did this exercise, and they came back
Hmm.
with 1,216 orphan clients. Okay, once they started
Wow.
hitting those 1,216 orphan clients, they were able to convert 204 or 205 of them, okay, which
Hmm.
led to an additional top line revenue of about 10.5 crores in that month alone. Right? I mean, they had forgotten about the company had forgotten about them. All they need to do is just go out and reach out to them. Another very important piece right now is activating your power base. And I talk about this a lot on a lot of my webinars and talks as well. So the power base is pretty much anyone that you know, right? So people that you went to school with, college with,
Hmm.
worked with, your neighbors, the friends that you would play sports with, all of that. All these guys are in your power base, right? And all these contacts are there in your mobile phone. So they're either there, in terms of on your social media, or they're there on your phones.
Hmm.
All you need to do is export these contacts, okay, export them into an Excel sheet, like a Google sheet, and then simply just start reaching out to them. Just start reaching out to them, not try to sell them, but just reach out to them, say, hey, buddy, how's it going? I hope everything's okay. And I hope that,
Hmm.
the family's fine, the kids are fine, or your parents are fine, business is fine. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm there. And it's okay if you haven't connected with these people for like 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. Right now, just RTR, right? Just restore the relationship. So that's something that's
Hmm.
paramount and something that anyone can do, and it costs you nothing. So one tip I definitely advise people to do is that.
A relationship. I love that, the difference between a contact and a contract and RTR, the syllables that you're using. And it makes a lot of sense because, today with the noise, the only thing that would differentiate a real seller or kind of a genuine buyer with integrity, what I look at as a buyer would be something with the relationship. And it also is, I think, one of the mandates in
Yeah,
now in
and
today's time.
and right now selling has become about serving, okay, not selling. So you actually have to serve your customers, you have to serve your
Hmm.
prospects. It's also become
Hmm.
about more than ever. It's become about giving and not receiving. Like you need to give all of yourself. You need to give, like all of yourself in terms of energy, in terms of content, in terms of product
Hmm.
services. Just be a giver. And once you're out there, giving, people will realize that okay, this person is different. This person is doing things differently, and hence I'm willing to follow. I'm willing to have a conversation, and you won't sell anyone or everyone at the first instance, but eventually you will get to them, right? There is something called the 98-2 rule of sales, and
Hmm.
which is what the first time you ever reach out to someone, the first time, right? The first time you ever reach out to someone, the chances of closing them is only 2%, only 2%. The
Hmm.
second time you reach out to them, okay, it's another 3%. The third time you reach out to them, it's another 5%. The fourth time you reached out to them, it's actually another 10%. So 80% of all prospects will not buy
Hmm.
from you until you have reached out to them the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and more times. Okay, so you need to be, continuously, reaching out, giving value, and that's when you might just, go ahead and actually close the sale. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of the people don't even go back and they reach out to, someone for the second time. They're like, "Arey yaar, phone kiya tha, nahi hua, kuch chhod diya." So
उठाया
they
नहीं
just
phone
they just
उठाया
quit.
नहीं
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
that's
that's
one of the
important as
things.
well.
So given that in today's day and age where, as millennials, we are so used to instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
We place an order on Amazon and I see it getting delivered tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So giving that kind of an effort, like you said, the fifth time, the sixth call, I
Yep.
doubt, like, what does it take to make that second call or even the first call in case the first time the prospect doesn't pick up the phone?
Yeah. The thing is, I think it all boils down to what do you really want, right? What is your why? What
Hmm.
is your purpose? I think so. Purpose is very important. Your why and your purpose has to lead to your goals, right? I'm also very, very
Yeah.
big on goals, and I've been setting goals again since I was,
Hmm.
16 and all of that. And I believe that, once you have your goals in place and you're actually writing them down and you're reviewing them and you know that, okay, this is the action that I need to take, you have
Hmm.
no option but to then, pick up the phone and, bang, and bang the calls, like make the calls. You need to do that, right? So
Yeah.
I know that this is the time of, instant gratification, but I also know that this is the time, and the millennials and the Gen Zs are very, very big on, you know, on just going all the way, right? So there
Hmm.
are people who will, do whatever it takes, right? When we say do whatever it takes, no excuses, I see a lot of people who are more driven than anyone else I've met before. I see a lot of, people who are not even done with school yet, right? So they're 15, 16, 17. When I started working as a 16-year-old, when I was still in school making trump cards and all that, so I made the first pack of WWF trump cards ever, by the way, like ever, right? So the
Wow.
point is, at that time it was rare. At that time, a 16-year-old trying to do entrepreneurship, it was rare. Today,
Yeah.
a 16-year-old, not doing something is rare, right? So everyone's got
Hmm.
this be that, hey, I need to make money, I need to trade the markets or whatever. I'm also, I follow the stock markets a lot, and when you see the young guys today, and they're out there and they're hustling and they're doing whatever it takes. So I think, there may be a misnomer in our mind or misconception in our mind that they are not willing to, follow up and pursue. I think if their why is strong enough and they figure out that this is what I want, I mean, they're going all the way. There is no way that they're backing down on, persistence. But what also is very, very important is the fact that you need to be persistent. 98-2 rule of follow up. Okay, that applies.
Hmm.
You can't expect to get everything on the first attempt. You have to be persistent. So even for people who are, pursuing that girl or pursuing that boy, for a relationship perspective,
Yeah.
even over there, it's very likely it's not going to happen, on the first instance. It's going to take, some time. When you
Hmm.
speak to Grant Cardone, okay, and like I said, Grant Cardone, is my mentor. When you ask him what is the best sale that you ever made in your life, the best sale, like the most valuable sale, he will tell you it's about how he got Elena Cardone to finally like him and marry him, right? Now, Elena was a supermodel actress. Grant Cardone, he liked her, but she did not, consider him to be, worthy enough. But eventually he got her. But it took a lot of persistence. It took a lot of,
Hmm.
follow up. So just like that, right? So if you want what you want in life, you have to be
Hmm.
willing to go there and follow up.
Yeah, and I also it kind of makes it a lot more satisfying the more persistent we become, and then kind of achieving that goal kind of just makes it worth all the effort. If, for example, I compare it to yoga, and if I could do a handstand in a day, it won't be as satisfying or as gratifying as it would if I do it every day for 30 days, and it takes me 30 days to kind of invert myself and stand upside down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%, 100%. Right. So, yeah, and I like the example on how you mentioned the, the yoga piece as well. And that's just the way it is. You need to be someone who, is driven and should be without reason. And people should call you, obsessed and crazy and all of that. But if you have
Mm.
that in you, if you have that hunger in you, well, the sky is truly the limit.
Yeah, and I have, spoken to a lot of speakers, very well renowned as yourself, and very learned, successful people, and they have very similar mindset, very similar thinking, the thought process where, you know, present to your why, like Simon
Mhm.
Sinek also, he says that it's the why that kind of wakes us up in the morning. So, and kind of gets me to do what I want to do. Coming back to my yoga example is that why do I want to be fit? Why
Yeah,
do I want to do yoga? Is
yeah.
it because I would like to, have this shirt fit in nicely to me? Or maybe is it because I would like the girls, the opposite sex, to kind of find me attractive. Now, that's a very shallow why.
Yeah, yeah.
So my why to a good health and fitness regime is I want to live 100 years, or I want to play tennis with my grandkids.
Right.
So
Interesting.
that's what jumps me out of bed at 5 in the morning
Yeah.
and do my workout routine. So millennials, if you're listening, I think this is one of the most important things. Before even we start selling, we got to be clear why. Like, why do we need to do this? That'll probably bring in the results
Very true.
after
In
the
fact,
second
a
call.
lot of organizations that I go into, and when I start, asking them, and these are career salespeople, right? They've been selling for like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. They've always been selling. And, I would kind of, reverse engineer it. I'm like, okay, this is great. Tell me about your goals. And they would start talking about, my target is this. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about your sales target. I said, tell me about your goals. And then, Haji, itna turnover karna hai, itni sale karni hai. So they start going down that one. I said, whoa. I said, let's step back for a minute. I'm like, when I talk about goals, okay, I'm talking about holistic goals. Okay, I'm talking about, okay, work is fine. I'm talking about finance is okay as a second goal as well. But I'm talking about all 6 areas, right? So I'm talking about work, I'm talking about finance, I'm talking about lifestyle, I'm talking about health, I'm talking about mental, and I'm talking about relationship. I'm like, tell me about all 6. And they're like, we never thought of it. We've never been, taught this way. We've always been told the goal is our sales target, right? Or the goal just maybe a weight goal, for example. But then, which is why these people aren't performing like the ultimate performers. Recently I came out with a goal planner. It's called the SWGB Goal Planner. It's the Scaling with GB Goal Planner. Just went on sale recently. And people who start following that system, they're like, oh my God. Like, they're like, this is absolutely crushing it. Because we're covering all 6 areas. We're covering, the 4 durations. We're covering, the mindset. We're covering, whatever you really need to get the job done. And I think once you combine that along with your sales, it's all going to blow up for everyone. So that is definitely there.
Wow. So this was like a power-packed session with, I would say, super, super valuable advices and suggestions from the lovely Mr. Gaurav. So, Gaurav, any last words you would like to share, how to thrive during the pandemic, or anything else you would like to share here?
Yeah, so I would just say, and quoting from Grant, right? Just be 10x. And by 10x, I don't mean, grow your organization's 10x. But what 10x means is the fact that if you think, okay, to get from point A to point B, or to get from here to there, you require to take that much action, okay, those many steps, in reality, you'll probably have to take 10 times the amount of action to get there. So be an action taker, okay, be a 10xer. 10x is not a number, 10x is a mindset. So be in that mindset, okay, and always look to 10x everything. So once you even get to that goal or that number, hey, just 10x that number once again. But just know this, that 10xing is about, putting in 10 times the amount of action that you think you would need to take to get to that particular destination. So that would be my parting, take
I
on
think
that.
that was the best way we could kind of complete this Instagram live. Is so always, like, when I see your 10x, it's more like, okay, set your goals 10x, set your targets 10x. But I never thought to put in 10x. So thank you for bringing this out.
Pleasure.
And sharing this here.
Hey, and thank you for having me. And like you said, I'll be in touch, and we look love to have you on one of our shows, as well.
It'll
And
be my
Let's
pleasure.
Chat with
Thank
GB
you.
would be one that we have a lot of people who come on. So it'd be nice to have you there as well. And
Oh,
keep doing great
I would
stuff, man.
love
You're
to.
doing some good stuff. Like I said, every bit of positivity that goes out to the world today is important. And thank you for doing what you do. And just keep up the good work. And we'll look forward to seeing you around.
Thank you, GV. Thank you for being here, and have a lovely evening. Be safe and be in touch.
Alrighty, bye.
Bye.
I invite you to like this video if you liked it, dislike this video if you didn't like it, and share with people who you think would find value in this.